and we're about to talk female dignity, the right to sanitary items. I'm going to introduce you to Rochelle Courtenay, the founder of Share the Dignity, proud resident of Sandgate, north side of Brisbane. Rochelle's career started off in accounting, which she said was not nearly exciting enough for her, so she left and moved into marketing and sales, which was marginally more exciting, but still not exciting enough. Shocked to learn that vulnerable women suffered terrible indignities during their periods, Rochelle decided to do something about it. In 2015, she collected 500 sanitary items and donated them to a local charity. She then created Share the Dignity, which is a charity that has since distributed in excess of 1 million sanitary items and established nearly 2,500 collection points around the country. Starting with just 10 supporters, today Rochelle has amassed a team of 3,000 and counting dedicated volunteers. Her official job title at Share the Dignity is Managing Director, but Rochelle said she prefers the job title of the Crazy Pad Lady. She is not afraid to make good pad jokes. She is a proud mum of 2, 21 and 19, which are weird names for kids, but people call their kids all sorts of weird things these days. She's played netball since the age of 8, and she still does play, saying, quote, "As I put on my netball dress every Saturday afternoon in the winter season, I'm grateful that after 40 years and probably 40 good-sized injuries that I can still play netball." All right, ladies and gentlemen, with pun definitely intended, I'm going to add my padding and avoid the temptation to ask Rochelle to tell her rags to riches story. I'm just going to ask her to share with us the dignity. She is the Crazy Pad Lady. Please welcome Rochelle, ladies and gentlemen.
If you see me cry, don't pass me by. Just give me time to rest. I know I could
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rochelle, Crazy Pad Lady. I started Share the Dignity 3 years ago, nearly to the day, when I read an article written by Mamma Mia that talked about how many homeless women there were in Australia. And at that stage, there was 44,000 that we knew didn't have a bed to sleep in that night and didn't have somewhere safe to call home. But what I'd never thought about was how they dealt with their period when they were experiencing homelessness. And so when I read that article, I looked at other articles that were written and wondered why on earth nobody had done something about it. And it had been written about a couple of times. And so I just started collecting amongst our local community, putting reflex boxes in our counsellor's office, and anyone who would collect, putting a box on their veranda. We collected nearly 500 packets of pads and tampons at that stage, and we thought that was a plethora of pads and tampons. We were high-fiving ourselves. We thought it was amazing. But it obviously didn't last very long. It's not like we're giving a woman a warm jacket and it keeps her warm for years. It's a monthly problem. So it was probably May 3 years ago when a friend who worked at a domestic violence shelter called and said, do you have any more pads and tampons? We're in need of some more. So we called out on our Facebook page that had been established on the 1st of March so that people knew where their donations were going. And that kind of just went viral. Em Rusciano, a Melbourne comedian, picked it up and said, oh my God, how did I not think about that? And like the rest of Australians since we've started, it's like there isn't a woman in Australia who wouldn't be empathetic with the fact of how are women using socks and newspaper and banana leaves, as I've heard, to deal with their period. And so pretty much a groundswell started. Never in a million years did I know that you needed to have a board of directors, a constitution, fees and permits in every state to be able to collect pads and tampons to give out to women who basically just couldn't afford the basic of necessities. So pretty proudly, we have now, 3 years later, collected, as of yesterday, after Libra gave us another 75,000 packets of pads, we've now collected 1.2 million packets of pads and tampons to be able to get out to the over 3,000 charities that we work with within Australia, from the guys that you're going to hear from this afternoon, from Orange Sky Laundry to Red Cross to Night Ninjas who hand out in the streets. So we actually don't work directly with the women in need. We work with charities to be able to make their life easier, and that's one less thing that they need to worry about. I also designed a dignity vending machine. So it was literally came to me after I saw this really pretty sparkly pink machine that was a vending machine, had nothing to do with pads and tampons. And I thought, imagine if we could get a vending machine that dispensed a free period pack. So in this machine is a period pack that has 2 pads and 6 tampons, what we deemed enough to be able to last for a day. We've now installed 40 of those vending machines around Australia into poverty-stricken schools, domestic violence shelters and homelessness hubs all over Australia. Those machines cost us $9,000 each to install, completely with a year's supply of period packs. So I'll give you an idea of a story that when we installed our first machine into Hampton Park High School in Melbourne, which is a quite low socioeconomic school, we heard a story from a Year 8 student who talked about how the week before she had got her period at school and the boys had laughed at her, as they do, as she had stained the back of her dress. She went home to text her mum to ask her if she could pick up some sanitary items, but her mum didn't get paid until Thursday. And so that young girl missed 2.5 days of school, and that is not uncommon here in Australia, in our lucky country, that girls are missing school. So these vending machines are installed in the schools to be able to try to reduce absenteeism in the schools. And now we have, I think there's 8 in schools at the moment, and we can actually already see a decrease in absenteeism, which for us means that, you know, for me, when I look at why can my daughters afford to go to school every day and then somebody else's can't, that's not right. So I'm really proud of the Dignity vending machines, and we have another 20 on order due in August that we will be installing throughout Australia. So we do collections in April and August, where collection bins go out all over Australia, from Coles to Chemist Warehouse to Terry White Chemists to lots of hairdressing salons and businesses and Commonwealth banks all over Australia. So we make it as easy as possible for people to donate. And hopefully now, after 3 years and after trying to get our message across. We can actually see that people are starting to talk about periods and talk about things where we would used to just say periods. And what you can see from our pictures, when we first started, you would never have been able to Google a picture of young teenage girls holding packets of pads and tampons. It just didn't happen. Same with men in offices. We now can see them dropping packets of pads and tampons in ATO offices in Canberra. We're really excited to see that conversation actually evolves in the first place. So we also then do a Christmas appeal called It's in the Bag. So it's where you give a pre-loved handbag or a new one, fill it with life's necessities like pads and tampons, shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, toothpaste, and then anything else that you put in your bag is really up to you. So it's only up to your bag size, your imagination and your budget. So some of the things that we've seen there are things like scarves, notebooks, vouchers for the movies, coffee vouchers, things that you and I would just take for granted. But for somebody who's spending Christmas in a domestic violence shelter, that's the only thing that they've got. This week we saw an amazing picture had anyone heard of Share the Dignity before today? Yay. So for anyone who watches our page, we have this beautiful picture, I wish I had it to show you, of these Aboriginal women who received a bag at Christmas time, and they were holding that bag like you and I would be holding a box of Ferrero Rochers. They were in love with them. It was the most amazing picture. You need to check it out. So for us, doing that, It's in the Bag is we have now collected 250,000 bags across Australia. So last year we collected 110,000 and we had Bunnings on board. So we literally called out for Bunnings on our social media page and just said, hey, Bunnings, can you help us? Because quite frankly, we had no idea how we were going to store those bags in hairdressing salons where people would drop them one day and that salon would be full and they couldn't actually continue with their business. So every single bag must be checked. So we have 3,500 volunteers around Australia that we also call our Shiros. We have a few heroes as well. And those bags are given out to domestic violence shelters, to the homelessness hubs. We also do a teen bag, so you tie a yellow ribbon on the teen bag and we get them out to all the girls who are in foster care systems and through Headspace that we know need help. So we have a story about Wendy, who received a handbag in Anana, which was a domestic violence shelter in Canberra. She received the bag after heading into the domestic violence shelter on Christmas night, actually Boxing Day night, Boxing Day morning, and she got the bag, which she talks so fondly about the toothbrush. So she received the bag, in which she then had a toothbrush in her bag. She found in the pocket a $20 Rockman's voucher. She waited for the kids to go back to school, went to Rockman's, grabbed a great black dress for $20 on special, went for a job interview, got the job, and her and the kids moved out of that domestic violence shelter. That bag actually changed her life. So the bag has so many ripple effects, from the people who are giving the bag to the people, for us, the Shiros, who actually enable and see the kindness, to the women that actually, well, and also there's another part in there. So there's the people that actually get to give those bags out to women who come into the domestic violence shelters and the homelessness hubs. So there is so much ripple effect to the It's in the Bag Christmas appeal, and we are so excited to be able to bring that together every year. So that's just a snippet of what Share the Dignity does. What we would ask of you is to use your voice. The most powerful thing you have to help us to share the dignity is to like our page. Share the post, have a conversation about ending period poverty here in Australia, and know that we can all make a difference, whether it's little or big. So thank you so much for your time this morning.